Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Two Chiefs, One Mic podcast. I'm Scott Hughes.
And I'm Mike Hawkins, and we are here today with two great guests to talk about an event that is coming up that I think a lot of people that listen to our podcast are interested in. It's the 61st National Annual Training Conference for the FBINAA. And Scott, I know you would put out a post on a message board about people who had some experience with it. And I think we found two people today that have a lot of experience by going to these conferences. And we hope today, by the conversation, we can teach our listeners what to do, what to expect, what to bring, and just a general consensus of what goes on at the FBINAA conference. So today we have Larry Zimmerman and Ed O'Carroll. And Larry, if you want to start, introduce yourself.
All right. My name is Larry Zimmerman. I'm a graduate of the 247th session, December 16th, 2011. I've got close to 31 years of law enforcement experience. I retired from my first agency as a captain and now a lieutenant on a very small police department also in West Virginia.
All right, Ed, what about you?
Yeah, so I'm a 269 graduate. It was 2017. And I hail from the Fairfax County, Virginia Police Department. I spent 34 years hard service with Fairfax. I started in 89, September 11th, 1989, and rode it through to 2023. I retired out of Virginia and relocated to Colorado. So I'm now out in Colorado Springs, enjoying retirement. But my support of the National Academy has never wavered from full-time service to actually full-time retirement. It's been a great experience.
So, Ed, you graduated when? I'm sorry.
What 2017.
Year? I'm sorry, you graduated the NA.
Yep. I graduated in 2017, session 269.
And you have made every conference since then?
I did. I have. I've made every national conference from my graduating, and actually every state conference with the Virginia chapter, where I've served on the board for 7 years. My board service will end this year as I transition to the Rocky Mountain chapter, which is Colorado and Wyoming. It's a joint chapter, and as I ramp up with the Rocky Mountain chapter.
That's awesome. And Larry, tell me again, when did you graduate the NA?
December 16th, 2011 with the 247. And like Ed, I hit the ground running. I've been a very, very active member of mainly the West Virginia chapter. That was my first chapter. But I've made my first national conference in 2013 in Orlando. And then I've been to every one since 2016, which was in St. Louis. Haven't missed that. I've done every West Virginia conference since then. And I mentioned to you earlier, I'm on the campaign trail right now for the National Academy, and I've had the absolute pleasure of going around to 9 out of the 13 chapters for their retrainers and getting to meet new friends and do those sorts of things. They are many national training conferences, and I've actually ran into Ed, I think, in maybe 2 of those spots. So when you're active, you get to participate in those things, keep the network going. I've been able to meet up with several of my session mates at each one of those conferences. So it's been an awesome experience. Regardless of what happens in the election, it's been an awesome experience.
And I think we want to touch base on that a little bit on the elections, but also if you remember your first conference, right? The goal of this is to try and get listeners to understand what to do, what to bring, what to wear, what to expect. So let's first, I want you to think back to maybe your first conference, maybe what you wish you knew, and fast forward as you're going to Baltimore this year, August 2nd through 5th. What should listeners take if it's their first conference? What should they expect? And Ed, maybe we'll start with you down there.
Yeah, so I remember my first conference post-graduation, and whether our listeners on the podcast here are frequent conference attendees like Larry and I, or maybe they're getting back into the network and they haven't been in a while. Remember, the NA is the family. It's a family that we've been introduced to during our time at Quantico. So whether you're a frequent conference goer or new, just remember you're amongst friends and family. So make sure you're ready to shake hands and give hugs and, catch up with people that you haven't seen in a while, or, from your session, like Larry mentioned, I've connected with a lot of my 269 friends and family members, but folks that I have met at the state conferences, at meetings I've attended. I serve on the membership committee, so I'll be working some of my time at the membership booth to get everyone reconnected on the Connect app and making sure their information's up to date in our database. And I also serve on the foundation, and that's another great effort that's underway in our NAA family. So be prepared to smile a lot, to laugh, and to cherish the time that we all spent at the NA. But we do need to remember that there are a lot of attendees that plug into this conference who have not attended the NA. It's only a dream of theirs to go. So there's going to be some non-NA members there very interested in our experiences. And that's exciting for them to meet us and us to mentor them and get them to attend the NA at a future time.
You see, like I didn't know that. Like I thought you had to be a graduate of the NA to go to the NAA conference. That's
You could have been going all this time.
I know. I could have 30 years. I could have been going.
Yeah. You could have been. Now, Scott, I'm not sure what the percentage is, but I know. Actually, I know several people that have reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm going to Osage in Baltimore,"
Well,
and they're not.
That's great.
Yeah, they're not a graduate, but remember, only a small selection get the chance. If you're an NA grad, everyone listening should be very proud that someone or a group of people have thought so much about them that they were hand selected to go. And
Yeah,
many people,
we're blessed, right? We're all blessed to have been able to go. Mike and I came out of 291, so it was a year ago today. We were probably sitting around having this conversation. Yeah, we were probably sitting around this time last year, like, hey, we should start a podcast, and here we are. So yeah, we're blessed. We're all four of us here. We're all 1% of the law enforcement executive population, and we all are huge advocates of the FBINA and the conference. To your point, we're all a salesman or a commercial for the NA. So knowing that there's going to be folks who have never been before, is good to know, because you just never know what question you might get or whatever. So we're gonna show up, Larry. We're gonna walk into this huge facility. And what are we going to do? We got to check in somewhere. We got to walk me through what happens on day one or the morning of. What's the game plan?
Basically, there's a large registration area. So once you get in, you get yourself situated in the hotel. Hopefully you're able to get into the host hotel, and you go to the registration. It's pretty simple. They usually have E through D, whatever, and you just go to that line and you go in, you register, you get typically a lanyard, whatever the gift bag may be, full of conference brochure that a lot of times will give you the itinerary, give you what your classes are that are available to you, and you also get meal tickets. Something that has started this year, family members, and this will be the first time, family members will actually have the opportunity to eat lunch with members, and that's never been done before.
Really? That's cool. Yeah,
Yes.
cool.
I've questioned that for years. We kind of have touted ourselves as an organization being more family oriented than others. If you're a member of the FOP members can't even go into the venue where the meetings are happening. If you do take your spouse to whatever, you only see them at the end of your meeting. With the National Academy, your spouse can come in and sit down and go through the training sessions with you. My wife has been to every conference with me since the DC conference in 2017. And she is also in leadership with her job, and she has gotten to see a lot of leadership presentations. So she actually gets a lot of that experience as well. Ed actually was one of the presenters at the South Carolina conference. What was that, Ed, in March, I think?
It was March 1st I presented. Yes.
Yeah. And during that conference, one of the best leadership presentations I've ever heard, I can't think of his name, the chief, who's his entire spiel or presentation was based on sports coaching theme, and it was an excellent presentation. So when you arrive, one of the first things I do, I look at the brochure because you'll want to go to the keynotes. And this year, the keynote speaker is Tim Tebow. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yep,
We'll have
Did see
Tim.
that, yeah.
Yep.
We'll have Tim Tebow 2 years ago, I think it was. Ed, you can correct me. We actually had Jocko Willink
Nice.
as the primary speaker. So we'll have those. And then you have what they call breakout sessions. And during those breakout sessions, unfortunately, and it's just the nature of how it works, a lot of those presentations are after the keynote and they're at the same time. So sometimes you have to pick like which presentation is more important to me or what one do I want to hear over this other one. As you start going to more and more of the conferences, sometimes we have some repeats. I have been on the National Training Committee since 2017. So I have a hand in whittling the list down. I think this year we started with around 130 presenters that we whittled down to 22 or 26. So there a lot of work goes.
That's a heavy lift.
Yeah.
Good for you guys.
A lot of work goes into selecting the presentations, and we try to do it with an eye of what are the needs of the association, what's new, technology's big. And we try to get presenters who, even though they work for a business, like I know Ed works with Magnet Forensics, and they're a huge sponsor of the National Academy, but we try our best when we pick the presenters to have it not be a sales pitch, to
this is
bring something to the table.
Sorry. Yeah. And the thing about DNA that I think folks got to remember is the National Academy. We got people from all over the world. So I have to assume that you got people from all over the world who are coming back to the conference. So trying to figure out who to bring in from everything from a small department to a large metropolitan department. And then you factor in the fact you've got folks from other countries coming in, man, that's kudos to you all for figuring that out, because, you look at the lineup that's online or the agenda that's available right now, and you got some really good speakers, some really good topics. So I'm certain that in every conference I've ever been to where they've had breakout sessions, I always find myself aggravated because you want to be in 3 or 4 at the same time. It's just not possible. So that's when you hope they have the repeat sessions, or maybe they'll be back the following year and you can get it then. So as far as like after hours, are there themed nights each night? Is they is it planned dinners? Obviously you have lunch tickets, so we all know how lunch works, but talk to us maybe about what happens, after the last class. Ed, what do you see folks doing or not doing?
Yeah, so the kickoff really is that Saturday, right? If you take a closer look at the schedule, and the schedule is posted online now. So I do recommend, if you are registered for Baltimore, start looking at it now and maybe print it out, take some pictures, start scripting it out. So the president's reception, Craig Peterson is our president. The president's reception is Saturday night. So on his behalf and the executive board and staff support that big. It's a big event, so that's Saturday night. But there are things going on. You've got to look at that schedule, see what you're going to do. You might want to split off with some of your classmates and have a reception, a little dinner on your own, the photo and all the things that come with it. And Larry, thanks for mentioning Magnet Forensics. There's a lot of great partners that truly make the national conference successful with their financial support and speaker support, but also the 48 chapters that we have in the National Academy. These chapters cannot do it without private industry partnerships. And so I will give an example. Magnet Forensics has a free happy hour night on Sunday night, open to everybody, NA members, non-NA members. We do ask people to register, but that's a great way to network in a smaller environment. And bring plenty of business cards or your QR code if you've moved to the QR code for scanning your info. Yep. So whatever works, because again, like we all saw when we went through the NAA and you built those friendships, this is a way to build it to the next level. And you go outside your class number and actually just meet other agencies, similar size, similar issues. And that's why these workshops are so important. And Larry hit on it. And Scott, you were mentioned it's tough I want to go to both of these. Well, remember, if you miss it at national, a lot of these sorts of themes are embedded in one of the chapter conferences. So if you miss national, go to your state conference, and you're going to see similar themed, groundbreaking issues that are plaguing our profession, and not only the problems but the solutions. So if you can't make Baltimore for whatever reason, go to your chapter conference and plug in locally.
It's speaking of Baltimore. So, Larry, you talked about whittling down speakers from 100 some to 26. Do you know, either one of you, how the locations are picked?
Yes.
Maybe. Okay. And on that note, which has been your favorite location so far?
So I will tell you, Orlando, the locate, and I cannot think of the name of that resort that it's been to. The last two times it was in Florida, it was in Orlando. But probably one of my favorites, as far as just how they rolled out the red carpet, was in St. Louis. It was such an awesome event. That was one where I really was starting to get a handle on a little bit of things, but they took us to Anheuser-Busch. We ate and drank for free. That was one night, and we were there for hours. We got a nice gift bag. I've got a bottle cooler that you unscrew the bottom and shove your bottle up that helps keep it cold, cool stuff like that. The following night, the VIP event for that one was at Busch Stadium. So we got to go in. They fed us again. We drank for free. I actually have a pretty cool picture on my phone. I had, I think, 11 members from my session that were there. I got us all together, and we actually have a picture where somebody was taking our picture, and in the background was the jumbotron that we were all up on. So it's kind of a pretty cool picture. I got to take batting practice down under the under pit of the stadium. So they really rolled out the red carpet, and
Wow.
That conference made me want to attend the others, because I'm like, you get to experience so many cool things when you attend the national conference. And I will say, you may have asked about events and stuff at night. There's always a hospitality room, and they call it the boardroom, and that's announced, where it's at. And, obviously you want to go there because that's where you're going to get a lot of your networking. But I will say this, excuse me, this is something I did while I was at the National Academy. And again, I talked to you guys before we went on about the difference between the boardroom now as opposed to what it looked like before. But while I was there, I would grab a couple pictures. I would turn around and I would look at a table and I would say, I haven't met anybody at that table. And I would go and sit down a couple pictures, break the ice. And that's how I got to meet a lot of my classmates. I continue to kind of do the same thing. Yes, I want to eat lunch with some of my friends too, who I don't get to see that often. But also, when you sit down at a table with people that you have never met before, you learn a lot, you make new associations. And I'll give you a quick story. I can't remember which conference it was, about 5 years ago. I did that. I sat down at a table. I didn't know anybody. I was introducing myself. And this guy, his name was Chris Madonna, worked for a company that they actually gave if you've heard of Accurant.
Yeah,
so
we use that.
That company is who Accurant got their information from, and it was Hooster. So the guy sits there and he says, if you don't mind, give me your phone number. He starts showing me what Hooster does. So I developed that contact. I went back to my agency, talked to my chief. We brought him in and actually bought the product for our drug unit and investigations.
All for the cost of one pitcher of beer, right?
Well, actually, that one didn't even cost me anything. I did take him out to my favorite hot dog stand when he came in, though. But it's things like that, the importance of the National Academy and what it represents, the greatest networking, leadership, organization in the world. The only way that we can keep saying that is by continuing to grow our network.
Ed, what about you? Favorite location over the last 10 years or so you've gone?
So I've got to agree with Larry in everything he said. But you know what the reality is? Every one of them has been super great. I don't know if I could say this one was better than that. They're all different. I loved Orlando. Larry, when you were talking about the stadium and the ballpark, I mean, I was in the dugout, got a picture with some of my classmates and some of my Fairfax County buddies that have attended prior and after me. Man, even on this podcast, I'm sitting back just overflowing with emotion about how wonderful the ongoing relationship is with my National Academy friends and family members. I've got to say, every one of them's wonderful. And I've met so many great people along the way. And yeah, this is just great stuff. So yeah, go with an open heart, plenty of business cards so you can keep in touch and connect with people. And you're right, whether it's purposeful or by accident, you're gonna meet some amazing people and do some amazing things when you get back to your agency. And that's what it's all about, right?
Right.
It's about helping each other. No one's alone in the fight. This profession can be real tough. Right. We know the enormity that's on everyone's shoulders, especially in executive staff.
Yeah.
But
so the NA,
we can share best practices with one another.
Yeah. Sorry, Ed. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah. The NA, what it provided us was everything you've mentioned. And it sounds to me as though the conference is just an extension of that, right? We hung out with 240 folks. How many, Ed or Larry, how many attendees, if you had to average out, do you think attend this conference? Just ballpark.
About 1,000.
Wow, very good. And I don't know if
Scott, I'll sum it up as this. This is a family reunion.
There you go. That's a cool analogy. That makes sense. Yeah. That's cool. And then I think Mike asked, and I don't think any of you answered it. How did they pick the locations? So this year we're in Baltimore. Next year we're in Canada.
Niagara Falls, Canada. And then the year after that, Phoenix, I think.
Yeah.
So I was actually, before you said that, I remembered that we didn't answer that. So the way it works, the organization is divided into 4 sections across the United States, and then also South America, Canada, Eastern Canada, and Europe. And so section 1 basically is like Alaska and California and places like that. And then section 2 has like Louisiana and I think Missouri and on up. Section 3 has like Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, Kentucky, Tennessee. Then section 4 kind of starts with West Virginia and Ohio and goes up to the eastern panhandle of the United States. And so what happens is every year, like this year, section 3 is hosting the conference. So that's why it's in Baltimore. Maryland, Delaware chapter is in section 3. And then what happens is the outgoing president, who is also a section 3 member, Craig Peterson, at the conference, the next president is sworn in. So that's section 4. And so since Eastern Canada and New York, so William Carbone is out of section 4, out of the New York Eastern Canada chapter. So that's why the host chapter is in the section that's hosting.
So the president, it kind of goes with the president, that location. Okay.
Yes. So then once we get past section 4, then we move back to section 1. So that's why it's out in Arizona again, out in Phoenix.
Gotcha.
And then the following year, it'll be somewhere in section 2.
Don't forget, Detroit is a nice place, right? Detroit is a nice place. Don't forget that.
We're not going to Detroit. When does it go to South America?
So
did I miss that?
Well,
did I miss South America?
So just so you know, Africa, South America, Puerto Rico, the international partners and members, they also have some international conferences. So you can go on to the NA website, you can look up, and you can see when their event is, and you can go. So
Detroit or Brazil, Mike?
Detroit all day. All day. I can walk almost.
I can't with you.
And just quick plug. So I'm actually running for Section 3 representative right now. So what happens is there's an election that'll occur during the conference, and every member who is active and in Section 3 has the opportunity to vote for the person that's going to represent them for the next 4 years. And then at the end of that 4 years, that person moves up to third vice president, then second vice, and then ends with national president, and then immediate past president. So it's a 9-year commitment.
So how does somebody vote? How do they find this when they're at the conference?
So if you are a Section 3 member, and so like in Ed's situation, and just like me, I'm actually a member of every section in the United States, so I can vote in every election. Ed is a member of Virginia, so he'll have the opportunity to vote, I hope, for me, because he's Section 3, but he's also now in Section 1 out in Colorado. You can be a member of multiple chapters and have the right to vote. So as long as you're active in Section 3 for this specific conference, you'll have the opportunity to vote. An email will come out if you're an active member and the national has your current email address. That's very important. But also, you can go online. So on August 4th and 5th, between I think it's 6 p.m. on the 4th and 6 p.m. on the 5th, I believe. And you can go on to the NA website, and there will be a tab for you to pull down and cast your vote. Takes 2 minutes.
So, Larry, you mentioned earlier that you've taken your wife to a lot of the conferences. I am not taking my wife. She's going to stay back and be mom, but she would want me to ask this question. What do you wear? Ed, Ed, what do we wear?
So wear something.
The start.
Okay.
That's a
something.
positive start.
Did you hear that, Mike? You got to wear something.
That's why I'm not going.
But no, hey, again, this is, so a polo shirt's fine. No one needs to be. The executive board, of course, will be, in business attire. But as an attendee, it's business casual, business light. Whatever the new 2025 term is. I will tell you, a lot of your sessions are going to take photos, and your chapter might want a photo. You're going to be, probably dragged into these photo ops. So, of course, wear something that's appropriate for the environment that we're in. But any NA shirt is great. If not, the NA store will be there. You can buy plenty of NA paraphernalia.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah,
I still don't want to look at my card statements from a year ago. My goodness.
Yeah,
Ed, you mentioned earlier too. I heard.
Just have fun. We're glad that you carved the time out. Many departments pay for this endeavor, but I've talked to a lot of people who are going on their own dime. And last year I had a dear friend of mine. He's from the Virginia chapter. I've known this gentleman for nearly 30 years, 29 years. He's from session 91. And you know what? He went to the conference last year. He actually went to the Virginia conference last year and presented as well. So there's no reason why we can't see in Baltimore or see one of our chapter, but dress for the occasion.
My wife will be glad that I asked that question. So thanks for answering that question. I was just going to wear polos and some golf pants or something. But you mentioned, Ed, too. You mentioned earlier business cards or QR codes like I like to carry now. Coins, patches, anything like that. Like that's a big thing at DNA. People bring coins and patches and they exchange them. Do you see a lot of that going on at the NAA conference?
Yes.
Or no?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. So and thanks to Larry and his crew, I have the pleasure of presenting on Tuesday. I have a session Tuesday afternoon. And actually one of my co-presenters is a child who was abducted in an online child exploitation case. It's an ICAC case. She was abducted by an online predator, and she tells her story of how this monster tricked her into an online predator. So you're going to meet some fabulous folks that are coming in to present. You're going to see some of your friends and meet new ones. So pins, patches, coins, anything you got. Our alumni love those things. So bring them and be ready to share and exchange.
Awesome.
There's actually a time set aside and a location where they actually do a coin swap.
So just like
Nice.
the
Yes.
NA.
Make sure you bring a bunch. We're kind of coming up on the time here, so I guess we'll give you guys some final thoughts, and then we'll let Scott take it home. But Larry, we'll start with you. Final thoughts on somebody going to the conference maybe for the first time.
I'm going to again plug our sponsors. So there's a huge expo. I don't think that we really talked too much about that, but we can't hold these conferences, not only at the local level, but at the national level without these sponsors. And I implore anyone who listens, go by the expo and actually stop and talk. You don't have to buy something. You don't have to, do anything. Just tell them thank you for what they're doing, for being there, sponsoring us. Because even though we may not belong to the Baltimore, Maryland, or the Maryland, Delaware chapter, it's still our conference. They're still there and providing money so that we can come in, enjoy ourselves. It's a little bit of a vacation, but also you really can take away a lot of training, great leadership training. And another highlight I'll just mention, Kash Patel, typically the director of the FBI, has a spot in there. And sometimes, depending on the person, they will actually entertain questions from the audience. That's huge. I was there when Comey was asked questions about the infamous emails. That's a pretty cool thing to be a part of. So hit the expo, tell the vendors thank you, and take that opportunity for especially you two being chiefs, anybody that's in that position, take the opportunity to make those network connections, and you'll be able to reap the benefits. Real quickly, when I was at the Florida conference a couple weeks ago, Jared Reston, if you've ever heard of him, he now works for Safariland. He's a guy took a shot to the face and was shot multiple other times. Great presentation I've heard in the past. But because of that connection with him and my new position, I saved 40% on ordering new holsters for my department. So you can really reap the rewards and the benefits aside from making those network connections.
Absolutely. Larry, thank you. Ed, your final thoughts?
Yeah, so best of luck to Larry for Section 3 rep. Yep, thumbs up, pal. Wish you the very best.
I think you've already got one vote. Sounds like you got one vote already.
Yeah, and the NA is going to be in great hands, no matter which candidate pulls ahead. I mean, we're a family. We're going to support each other anytime. Larry, you mentioned the Orlando conference a few years ago. It's the Rosen Shingle Resort, which is actually also an NA partner. So if you're a member of the National Academy, you can get discounted rooms there with your family if you want to go down there for a trip to Orlando. Great property, really amazing property. But yeah, it's really about the network. It's about, again, meeting your classmates, meeting new friendships, getting out on that exhibitor floor to see the newest technology that's helping solve crime and support victims, attending these sessions, and just having a good time. You're reconnecting with the amazing network that the National Academy is. And, it's interesting when folks graduate the sessions, as we know, and a lot of our listeners know, I mean, so many people just drop off. Now, when I went through the NA, I had already had 28 years on. I waited almost 12 years to go from a large agency. So I had 28 years on. I could have retired years earlier, but I always wanted to go. It was a dream come true. And that's why staying involved is important, getting involved at the chapter level, the national level, supporting those industries that support our effort, taking advantage of the products and services, and again, just having a good time. Be safe, safe travels. Hail from that DC Baltimore corridor right off I'll throw it out if anyone needs anything. I mean, Phil, I'm in the directory. Reach out to me. I still have some adult kids that live there full time, and I'll be landing early and spending those days. And I do present on Tuesday. If anyone's still around, I'd love to have you in my workshop on Tuesday. And thanks for having us on the podcast today. This has been fun. It's like talking to, again, our family about what's coming up, and that's a great family reunion in August. And safe travels there, and let's have a good time.
Well, we appreciate it, and we want to thank you guys for coming out. Larry, do you have something?
Yeah, one more thing. Well, actually two. So there's the gala that is the night before closing ceremonies. So if you go on to, so Scott, this will really apply to you. If you go to the page where you can make changes and stuff, there's a place, and I think they may have already closed. Ed, you may know, but so you can actually pick your table. But it's neat if you actually take the time and you hover your mouse over a table, it'll actually show you people who have picked their tables. So that's kind of a neat thing. The other thing, if you know that you're going to attend the National Academy, one, get in early because you can save yourself $100 on the early bird, but also some of those VIP trips fill up and they're sold out, they're closed. The bourbon tasting that's been going on for several years, when I was president of the West Virginia chapter, myself, my vice president and secretary, we went to the leadership summit the year that it was held in Fredericksburg because of COVID. We actually are the ones who got the ball rolling on the new bourbon tasting that happens at the national event. That took off. I was contacted by the Ohio chapter and asked if we minded if they stole our idea, and we said, no, that's great. So now that's become kind of a staple of it, but you have to get on early, sign up for those VIP events. You won't be disappointed.
Well, again, Larry, thank you very much. I feel terrible I'm missing this one, be my first one, but I'll be in DC area tomorrow. So I'm coming back and I'm like, I can't go twice there. So can't be away too long, but I'm shooting for Niagara Falls there. But
yeah.
Scott, why don't you take us home? And again, Larry, Ed, thank you very much. But Scott, we'll turn over to you to close it out here.
Well, thanks a lot. Yeah, a lot of great information, gentlemen. Thanks a lot for coming on. I know, this episode, we may have a smaller, very isolated audience because it's dealing specifically with the FBI National Academy Conference. But our very first or second podcast that we ever did was on the FBINAA experience. And it was one of our most popular. And I'm excited that this is going to be basically an extension of that, or like Ed said, a family reunion. I cannot not promote the FBI National Academy enough. It's just a phenomenal experience, phenomenal brotherhood and sisterhood. So, I threw a message out there on the FBINAA alumni app. I appreciate you two both coming on and sharing your experiences and what it was like for you, and kind of for us rookies here, what to expect of the conference. It sounds like it's going to be a great time. I know I'm looking forward to it, excited to be there. I'm excited to connect with so many people that I'm, quote, connected to, especially on social media. It'll be fun to put, shake your hand instead of sending you a message. So I'm excited. Safe travels, everybody. Thanks for tuning into this episode, and we will catch you again next time on another episode of Two Chiefs, One Mic podcast. Take care.
Thank you all.